Hello, everybody. We're here in one of these live chats or live podcast. Today we have with us, he's a beginner in this world of trombone. Now, I'm sure most of you know him. He's member of the Concertgebouw Orchestra. He's also teacher at the Hochschule in Lucerne in Switzerland. But he has also been one of the main protagonists in some of the most successful trombone videos in the history of internet. And later we will talk about that. We could say that he's a factory of viral videos. So today he's here with us. Before we continue, I thank all of you for being here. If you want more people to enjoy this valuable podcast, maybe now is the time to share it with your friends, to share it with your trombone and brass buddies, because I think this is going to be quite interesting. So, Martin, how is everything going? Where are you? Can you tell us where are you now?
Sure, I'm also actually just sharing.
Really?
Good. So I'm actually I'm in Amsterdam in my garden. So this is a small studio that I've built in my garden.
So there is no roof. You are in the garden.
Yeah. Can you imagine how silent it is in Amsterdam? No, I mean it used to be like a old shed, but I like revamped it a little bit with some double walls, so I don't annoy the neighbors playing. And I teach online here, and I can practice here and work on some projects. So yeah, that's where I am now, in my garden.
Mm-hmm. So you are not nowadays. You are not traveling back and forward to Switzerland, right? You're staying there until this situation goes on.
No. I'm teaching live in Switzerland again. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, first it was not possible because of travel regulations.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole list of exemptions, and one of them is like for university teachers and cross-border workers. Mm-hmm. So I'm one of the lucky ones that is allowed to travel, actually.
Yeah, so one of the exemptions is trombone playing.
Exactly, and very loud also, especially.
Of course. So how is just so people get a little bit of the context, how is the pandemic situation now in Netherlands?
I guess it's a little bit the same as everywhere in Europe. Mm-hmm. So basically everything is closed. No concerts with audience. Shops are closed, bars are closed. There is a curfew, so actually I still have 15 minutes, but if after 15 minutes I go outside, they can give me a fine of 95 euros. But yeah. Anyway.
Which is the limit time? Is
9.
9, wow.
Yeah, from 9 until 4:30.
From today on, here in Spain is 12, fortunately. It was 10 up to yesterday, but from today on is 10. So after this podcast, I'm going to a bar. Like, that's what Spanish people do, right?
Yeah.
So how do you think?
No, like I think it will stay here another few weeks. Today's the hairdressers went open, as you can see. Mm-hmm. So directly went to cut my hair.
Sexy.
No corona coup anymore. So that's the situation. Anyway, I hope we have elections in 2 weeks, and I hope after those elections things will start opening up again, because everybody's tired of this.
Yeah, I know. Like, when you see things in for example in the Met or in some orchestras in America, but also here in Europe. Yeah. Sometimes you wonder if the way all this pandemic thing was managed was done correctly or not. Do you think, talking about the average, how do you think, in terms of culture, how do you think things were managed in Netherlands in comparison with the rest?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, and it's easy to say after, of course, because like the ones in charge also of course make mistakes, and some admit and others don't. That's the difference also. But often they have to make decisions with half of the like big decisions with half of the information, because nobody can look in the future, no. But well, here at least I can speak about my orchestra, and here in the Netherlands we have been quite lucky in a way that the government supported at least all the orchestras that I know financially. So I mean, they covered the how do you say, the money that was lost basically. So all the musicians got their salary since like it's almost 1 year ago that everything started, no? So that's good. And anyway, I'm also lucky that my orchestra, we have a good situation. So I think even without support we could survive for a while. So that's good management. In comparison to some stories that I hear from other parts of the world. I mean, you mentioned the Met. This kind of situations for me are just unbelievable, and I think it also it has to do with management also, because our management prepared for a worst case scenario, and of course nobody thinks about a pandemic, but I think one job as a management you have to do is to prepare for worst case scenarios. And I just feel super bad and sad for all of my friends and
also freelancers. Colleagues. I think for freelancers, these
well, that was my next point. Like, I feel super bad for all of my friends and colleagues in the orchestras that are affected. And of course, outside of that are all the freelancers, and not only the freelancers, the musicians, but also people that, you know, work in theaters, prepare the lights, the audio, the all of this kind of things. So no, it's a very, very bad situations for the arts. That's for sure. And well, I hope people really miss it and cannot wait to go back to the concert hall to hear live and see live performances again.
Of course.
Yeah. Today I was at a rehearsal and the orchestra was playing, and I realized it was actually the first time I heard a full piece live again. And I have to say it was a nice experience.
It was, or it wasn't?
No, it was great. It was super nice. Yeah.
And you know, but I think in a extraordinary situation like we are involved right now, I think maybe cases like yours are an example. And I don't want to go deep into this, because later we will talk about some projects that you developed during the lockdown, such as the Song for Health. That I think it was played a million times over the world, like one of these hits that sound in the radio, but after a month you are like, okay, I need 1 month of rest. But it was a success. So how did your daily life change when they said, okay, tomorrow everything is locked down? How did it affect you mentally, or you just kept working?
No, of course. I think it affected everybody mentally. If not, I think you're not a human being. But no, I mean, the time before, the months and years, I had been extremely busy with a lot of things going on, and suddenly this was all over. So strangely enough, it first felt like a big relief, like, finally I'm free. I have time to actually do the things that I wanted to do or learn for a long time. I wanted to learn about audio recording, video recording, and you know, finally organize those 30,000 photos that you have on your computer. 1 year later, I still didn't do it, but okay. But no, so I felt
time. You still have 2 years of pandemic, so no worries.
No, I felt very motivated in the beginning, and I started like Instagram live stuff, and I had many ideas. But honestly, that didn't last for many weeks, and then I got in a kind of dip. I didn't feel like practicing or playing, and that lasted for about like 6 or 7 weeks. I didn't play one note, I think. So I just started to concentrate on other stuff that made me feel better mentally, like going out, doing speed biking, learning new things, all of this kind of stuff. And luckily, my orchestra, we were one of the first ones that started to play again in the world.
Wow.
I think, if not the first one. So it was
Without
already
audience or with?
no, without audience. So
Mhm.
it was, I think, in May,
Mhm.
half of May, that we already started to play.
Wow.
So yeah, we got permission from the how can I say, the city,
Mm-hmm.
and we started to play in 1.5 meter, and we started to make plans how we could sit on the stage. So no, that was really great to start playing again quite early. So that was nice.
Mm. I was gonna ask you, because I saw a little bit in your resume about. Because well, first of all, I have to say that we're gonna talk about different things. This is a live chat, so improvisation is allowed. But
Yeah.
at the beginning, we're gonna just be chatting about your life in the orchestra, also how you got those jobs, because you got 3 jobs, right, in total in the world of orchestra. In the 2 in the Netherlands radio and 1 in the Concertgebouw,
Plus the teaching.
plus the teaching. But I
I
want
do
to say
play
that
also.
at the end of this chat live, we will also see some of the questions that you sent through social media. So if you want to write anything in the chat, just feel free to write your suggestions or questions to Martin, and then we will try to address as much as them as possible. So going back to your life, let's go into this machine, this travel machine. When you were very young, I read that you studied with Hans Schippers. Was he your uncle?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, he was. Yeah, I mean, he is still my uncle.
Ah, okay. Okay. And how was Martin Schippers as a student?
Well, good question. But actually, my uncle was my second main teacher. My first main teacher was my grandfather. So I started playing euphonium, bombardino,
Mm-hmm.
at the age of like 7. So from my 7 till my like 13th or something, 14th, I had actually a daily lesson with my grandfather,
Daily
my
lesson.
abuelo. Yes. So I would go to elementary school, and then in the midday we would have 1 hour break, and then I mean my grandparents used to live like 2 minutes from the school, so I would go there in the afternoon break. Then I would have like 45 minutes lesson with my grandfather, and my grandmother would cook. I would eat quickly and then go back to the school, and I did it almost like 5 days a week, Monday till Friday.
Wow.
And then in the weekend we had a rehearsal with the wind band of the village, Sunday off, and then Monday the same ritual. And I did that from my 7th till like what I said 13th or something. And then when I was 15 I switched to trombone, and then I had a weekly lesson with my uncle. And yeah, no, I mean, I think I was a kind of lazy student. I never liked to practice much. I still don't like to practice much. But no, those were the years that I mean, those are the years that form you, you know?
That's a great advice for young students. So stop
No.
practicing.
No, look. There is a difference between practicing and practicing, right?
Yes. Well.
So, yeah. No, I mean, I believe that sometimes you can do more in 1 hour than in six hours sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I always try to be as efficient as possible while practicing, even if it would be only 1 hour, 2 hours. But like, my goal has been always to in this time improve something, because you can also play and waste the whole day playing, but you actually don't improve anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean with, like, I don't like to practice much in terms of wasting time, you know. But I only practice to improve.
You know, I watched lately. I watched interview to Rafael Nadal. You know,
Yeah.
I think the best tennis player in the history.
Wait, he's from Spain, no?
Yes, he's from Spain. I don't know which kind of food or weather is here, but so he was saying kind of the same thing that you that you say that because an interviewer asked him, "Which is your strongest point?" And he said that he's not especially that he's somehow lazy. He doesn't like to wake up early. But what he was saying is that when he's in a training session, he can give 100% at all time, and that's what he thinks makes him better.
Yes.
But so what you were saying is right. Sometimes maybe practicing 4 hours or 5 hours doesn't mean you're gonna get better.
No, sometimes you can get worse if you repeat your wrong habits. Then you're actually practicing the wrong habits.
No, that's true. So playing is later we will talk about technique, but
Sure.
I think what you're saying is that playing trombone is basically repeat good habits, right? Instead of wrong habits.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, programming. Like what you do is to program good habits and repeat them as much as you can, so that at the moment you have to execute, that your body only knows the good habits, basically.
So going back to your younger ages, did you always want to work, or did you always know what you wanted to be? Like, did you always want to play in orchestra, or did you always want to play in an orchestra in Netherlands or abroad? Which were your dreams back then?
No, actually, until my 18th or 17th, I never heard a symphony orchestra in my life.
Great.
So
this is the second advice. Stop practicing. Never listen to a symphony orchestra.
No,
Come on, Martin.
Honestly, I never heard of Brahms, Mahler, Bruckner. I had no idea. I grew up in the wind band, So, that's the music I knew. And honestly, like, I was extremely lucky to grow up in the environment that I did. Like, like I said, with my grandfather being my teacher, my uncle being my teacher, of course, my brother Nico, who turns out to be my colleague now. He was already, he's 8 years older, so he was already like ahead of me a few steps. And like from both my parents' side, it's a family of basically brass players. So I was lucky to grow up in that surrounding, hearing always like good level playing, and especially being fed with good level recordings also, and like we always went to festivals and like I used to listen a lot of trombonists and especially jazz trombonists when I was young, so I always had a good imagination of how a good trombone sound was, And then when I went to the conservatory, that's when I got really, in a younger age I was in touch with this. I did many different styles, but actually never symphony orchestra. So I did wind band, I did big band, and I did also like traditional folk music. And I grew up on the German border, so it was more like German kind of folk music.
Is Paso Doble traditional music in Netherlands?
Traditional music we would play in the wind band, from Spain.
Okay.
Amazing. Paso Dobles are nice, especially to play in bombardino. You always have the melody.
Yeah, that's true.
But in the wind band, I've never played trombone, by the way. Always bombardino.
That's the cleverest decision you can take.
That's the trombone part, right?
No, I hate it. When we play here with our hometown wind bands, and we go, for example, here in Caudete, which is my hometown, when we play with the wind band outside, because there are some, traditional festivities that you have to go together with the music. There's always this old tuba guy, being mad at the trombone section because we are just playing the melody. We don't want to play the part that is written because it's so boring. So
no, but just to go back to the symphony orchestra story. So those are the orchestras and the styles I grew up with, and I was lucky to grow up with different styles because I think it's so important. Like now in the orchestra, when we have a jazzy piece, I feel comfortable. And even in Mahler and Bruckner, you have a lot of polkas, a lot of waltzes, a lot of folk music, and that's the music I also played when I was young. So I kind of recognize that, and like that has been very important. And then when I got to the conservatory when I was like 17, then I got more in touch with symphony orchestra music. And actually, funny enough, the first time I've ever played in a symphony orchestra was in the Concertgebouw Orchestra when I was like 17 or 18. So someone got sick, and actually Jürgen called me to replace someone on second trombone.
The typical first gig.
Yeah.
That you get with Concertgebouw.
Yeah, and then I got in touch with this music, and it opened, of course, a whole new world. It was just not the surrounding I grew up in.
So you said there's something apart from marching band pieces when you did your first gig with Concertgebouw.
Yeah.
So Martin, what is quite interesting for me, I know it happens sometimes, but it's not that common. And what I'm talking about when you got your first job with the Netherlands Radio Chamber Orchestra, you got first the second position and then the principal position.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing, the names, because at one point there were like 3 radio orchestras. Mm-hmm. So when I started, there was the Radio Philharmonic Orchestra, the Radio Symphony Orchestra, and the Radio Chamber Orchestra. So I started in the radio... Wait, now I should say it right. I started in the Radio Philharmonic Orchestra and second trombone, when actually Brand Atema, he was my colleague on bass trombone.
Oh. So you were playing tenor. It would be funny that you were playing tenor, Brand Atema was playing alto, and maybe Jaume Gavilan bass trombone. No.
No, I was playing second, and then he was playing bass trombone, and then 3.5 or 4 years later, the Radio Symphony Orchestra and the Radio Chamber Orchestra, they merged, and then first trombone position opened up there, and I did the audition, and I won it, and then I was like first trombone there for like 3.5 seasons, I think, or 4 seasons, something like that.
And of course, I guess that the Netherlands trombone class, the teaching way that there is there in Netherlands, it helped you through those years. Many people asked through social media your opinion about the Netherlands teaching system. Can you tell us a little bit about it and how it was back then and how it evolved? And do you recommend people to go study there? I mean, I know many people from Spain and Portugal, for example, that studied there and that had a successful career after that. But can you just let me know how things work over there?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say if there's like one school, you know, because like in different parts of the countries we have different tradition in terms of like local orchestras, you know. So where I come from, and especially from the south of the Netherlands, so I come from the east of the Netherlands, and so the east and especially the south, we have a lot of wind bands. But then if you go up north, you have a lot of brass bands and fanfare orchestras. So yeah, that's I think the main thing why there were, and I think still are, so many players, because that was something you would do. You would choose football or go and play with the wind band, you know. So for example, in my hometown we have only like 15,000 citizens, but at one point we had like 5 or 6 wind bands. Now there's only one left, the one I grew up in. Of course, times are changing also. So that's one thing. And the tradition of trombone, I think it's also a matter of luck. That suddenly, because you know, people are born with talent or not. Also for trombone, for anything. And I think it was also lucky that at one point in time there were certainly a lot of talented trombonists coming together. And of course with a great teacher, which was George Wiegel is his name. He's now not teaching anymore. He's now the director of the Rotterdam Philharmonic, actually. But so if I look to myself, my biggest influence definitely were my family, first of all, but also hearing a lot of great players. And For example, when I was 11, I remember Jürgen van Rijen, he had a quartet with my brother, and they would come over to my hometown to rehearse, and I went to listen to the rehearsals, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was a kind of surrounding where you grew up with hearing good players around you. And I think that's important, and at least that was important for me. And somehow there always has and it's also the style of my orchestra, we always look for the beauty of an instrument, let's say, and the sound, and playing musical, and like, you know, telling a story with your instrument. And that's something that my grandfather would tell me already when I was 7, you know. So in a way it kind of all came together. And yeah, is there a Dutch trombone school? I'm not sure how to define that, to be honest. But I think if you talk about the Dutch mentality, we are a small country. So, of course, if you are German, you can say, no, we have our own style. We have the German school, or we have the French school, or the English one, or I don't know, Italian or Spanish. Those countries are so much bigger than the Netherlands. And just historically, not only with trombone, we always had been a country that is used to adapt, you know. Also in terms of language, being able to speak English. And I mean, wherever I go in the world, I always see Dutch people because they travel everywhere, you know. So putting that together with the trombone playing, I think we just look at the rest and take the best of everything. So in terms of technique, in terms of, you know, like sound, and yeah, I think it's a combination of a few factors why suddenly it was like a big thing. And of course, you always depend on one or two people that do a lot of effort to actually organize stuff.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's the thing. There must be always somebody, you know, leading somehow. And I think maybe that's the role that you, maybe you are not now teaching there, but your figure, and also Jorgen's figure, and all the people who is teaching there, is kind of a reference, like for the rest of the students. Of course, you come from a small country, but you guys have a big heart. That's very. I'm sorry, that just came to my mind.
Can I cry now?
Yes, you should cry. But no. Okay, so then you got your job at the Concertgebouw Orchestra. Just going back to your career, was back then was due to that job that you had to switch to bass trombone, or you had already flirted with bass trombone in the past?
Yeah, but, I mean, I did 2 gigs on bass trombone purely by accident. But I mean, the job before this job, like I said, it was in a radio chamber or philharmonic, in which I had like 60% of the time I had to play alto trombone. So to combine that with playing bass trombone is just impossible. I mean, it's possible, but it makes no sense. So I only started bass trombone for this job. That's the only reason. So I did.
And was it difficult? Which was the biggest thing? Because you might think, okay, the biggest thing you have to switch is the way you blow the air, or maybe the embouchure, or what was the biggest challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I always had a good low range, so of course that helps. It's not that if you don't have a good low range on tenor and you start to play bass, that suddenly your low range is there. It's kind of similar. So when I started bass trombone, I also started on a fairly small mouthpiece, like 3G. So the difference was not that big, you know. So I mean, in the beginning, honestly, I had no idea what I was doing on bass trombone. I just played tenor and then took the bass trombone, and it was kind of the same, you know.
So you were using random valve positioning.
Yeah, exactly. No, I never used a second valve. Like, I had no idea. But and of course, I didn't feel comfortable at all in the beginning. But it was my last chance to get into this orchestra. And well, Jürgen was there already. Bart, one of my good friends, he was there. Principal trombone, my brother was there. So I really wanted to be in that orchestra, simply because, of course, it's a great orchestra also, but also because of the section. And I already did 3 auditions before this one for different positions, and I messed them all up. So this one was like my final chance. So I had no other choice than to start playing bass trombone.
And did you
So
get nervous
that's
Did you get nervous that day? Was it like a very, I would say, an easy process, or it was, or you remember that as a hard day?
yeah, it's it's like 12 years ago or something, 13. Yeah, if I think about it now, I would do it completely different.
Really?
Yeah. No, it was yeah, in that time a lot was going on also in my family, so it was a very stressful day, and I didn't enjoy it at all. And I was very happy it was over, and then I won it. Like I couldn't believe it. But luckily, I was still good enough to be able to get enough votes. But yeah, and it felt super uncomfortable also playing suddenly bass trombone in an audition, and people were going to tell you if you play good bass trombone or not. And I never played bass trombone before, But yeah, I can say after the audition, it took me really at least 2 seasons, 2 years to really feel like, okay, now I feel comfortable playing bass trombone in the orchestra.
You know, the good thing about bass trombone is that you can do many trills just with combining the valves and doing things like that. So
Yeah.
it's easier. No.
No, I mean it's more or less the same. It's just bit bigger mouthpiece and a bigger bore, but I mean, technically speaking, but of course the biggest difference you have to make is here you need to create a whole different set of how do you say, like sounds in your head.
Which is the proper sound for bass trombones? Because I've heard, I've played with different bass trombones in different orchestras, and you see some people that try to blow very, very slow, like in this dark, trying to create this dark sound, but not too much maybe projection. Some of them even they try to also be closer to the trombones than the tuba. Which is the place of bass trombone in orchestra for you?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It depends the orchestra, of course, and it depends with who you play. So yeah, I don't know. I think there are many great bass trombone players in the world nowadays, but personally, I prefer a little bit more. Of course, I come from tenor, right? So I prefer a little bit more compact sound of the bass trombone, and depends a little bit on the repertoire, of course. And some repertoire you want to be really more with the tuba, and some repertoire you want to be more like a third trombone, no? Yeah, I like a compact sound with a good core, but of course still a obviously different sound than a tenor.
How a bass trombone should play? Loud. That's the right answer. No, I'm kidding.
I wish I could.
I was gonna ask you, just going a little bit farther. So, when you get to be part of one of the best orchestras in the world, and it is considered as one of the best orchestras in the world, how do you manage? Because of course, I said this to you before the chat, that everybody has his own ego somehow. And how do you manage a balance, in between these egos? So then, when it comes to apply the work together, it works as a team and not just as individuals.
I think that's one of the good things of the Netherlands. Like, I don't really notice that issue here, I have to say.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, and especially in my orchestra, people just come because they want to play good music. So I honestly don't know. Like, of course, people have egos, but yeah, what do you actually mean with ego? Is it a kind of attitude or like
Yeah, it's kind of like
being
you
stubborn or
you want your voice, and also not only about musically, but also as a member of a community, which is the orchestra. Like you
yeah.
want your voice to be like higher than the others. Like, are there any power issues? It's just wondering because.
I mean, like in any family, of course, sometimes you have things, but no. I mean, I would say so, but that's not really a thing of how we do things. Like, of course, things happen, right? Sometimes you have difference of opinions, but I think that's okay and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to and I think it's very important to be able to have different opinions, but music should always be first and last in whatever you do. And honestly, I don't understand people who go with a negative energy to a job just because they don't like what the one next to them is saying or like doing or yeah, I don't know. I guess it's also easier if you're surrounded with only great players.
So, Martin, I think this is a very interesting question for young students, because when somebody gets a trial, for example, or a probation period,
Yeah.
I know some of them don't really know how to act, because maybe if you if you are too shy, maybe you get disqualified because you are too shy. Maybe if you want to mm, uh, show your opinion too much, maybe that can be a reason. But like, for example, in my own experience, I would say that just be yourself, and if it works, maybe that orchestra is for you. If it doesn't, maybe it isn't for you. Like, what do you think is the best advice you would give to somebody who is on a probation period or a trial?
Just play good.
Don't
And shut
miss.
up.
Okay. No, fair enough.
No, depends the role. Of course, if you're principal, maybe people expect a little bit more in terms of leadership or ideas or stuff like this. But like I said, it starts and ends with the playing. And I also, when I was principal trombone, I never believe in talking too much.
That's true. I remember when I studied with Mr. Alessi in New York.
Yeah.
Like he was saying that all the time. Just try to talk through the instrument. Don't talk.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to show how good you are talking too much. But
no,
now
and
I have
of course,
to say,
sometimes you have to talk or say little things. But maybe coming back to your question before, in terms of egos, I would rather call it like, of course, everybody has a certain way of doing things in looking for their comfort or confidence, right? So I think if you're trying to open up yourself a little bit, like be a bit empathic, try to understand what someone needs in terms of words or compliments, because everybody's different. And I think if you play in a section and you find out how everybody is, you always find a way of talking to each other in order to reach the highest level of playing together, because that's in the end what it is about. You have to do it together, like a soccer team or a basketball team. It's the same with the brass section or low brass section or trombone section.
And related to what you were saying, do you apply that also at the time you need to choose? For example, imagine you have an audition, and of course, the new members of the Concertgebouw Orchestra are great, and they look like nice people. At least when I see their faces and their videos, they look like nice people, like Katie and the new trumpet players. But imagine that you have two people who play very good. They're also nice, like they act in a. How do you choose in between? What makes somebody special?
In an audition, you mean?
Yes, in an audition. What makes somebody special in the not only in the first round, especially in the last round?
Well, I mean, I had my first job when I was 19,
Mm-hmm.
and since then I have been in many audition juries and audition committees, and also for competitions, and I have been judging a lot. So just based on my experience, the one who makes you forget that makes you forget they play an instrument usually wins the audition. So I always say you have to assume that everybody that goes to an audition can play the instrument perfectly. So you're not going to win on that only. It's about how much you know about the music behind a particular excerpt or solo piece. So if you're listening in an audition and you're listening to someone telling you a story for which they use their instrument, doesn't matter which instrument, that's when you remember someone. And of course, the sound needs to be good. Of course, the intonation needs to be good. Of course, the timing needs to be good. Of course, the rhythm needs to be good, etc. All of the basic stuff, the legato. But this is all basic stuff. But what is someone doing with the music? If someone is playing, I don't know, an excerpt from, let's say, Beethoven 9, and they play this excerpt, do I hear the whole choir when they play? Do I hear the whole orchestra when they play? Or are they just playing notes?
Maybe they have some speakers behind and they are playing.
Yeah, well, internal speakers. That's what they should have sometimes. No, but really, it's when I'm listening audition or an excerpt, because of all of my experience of playing those pieces, I hear this voice in connection with the whole orchestra. And when it's completely out of context, then you know, like, someone is not knowing what they are doing. They're just playing notes.
You know, it's funny because
it's always at least in our orchestra, the best musician always wins.
You know, it's funny because in one of these previous live chats that I did, I invited David Rejano. I don't know if you know him. He's
yes.
principal trombone in LA. And what really surprised me about him is that when he talks about auditioning in different orchestras, such as Munich Philharmonic or LA, or he was also in the finals for Berliner and many like top orchestras. And he said that he basically played the same in each of these orchestras. So for him, kind of the key of his, he didn't say like that, but the key of his success was this confidence. And of course, there must be behind this good rhythm, good sound. But he's just playing the way he understands the music, and he has sense, and then he transmits that to the board.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, people ask sometimes, like, yeah, if I go to this place, should I play different because they're German, or should I play different because they're American? And I always say, like, I don't think so. Like, I think you should play the way that is closest to you, because that's
Always
going to show
French.
to the jury. It sounds the most natural. Sorry, what did you say?
I said always French. Just play always French.
Le français.
Yeah. But also, toi is not permitted, I guess.
Sorry, the connection stopped a bit.
I was saying that. No,
Toi is always forbidden.
Yeah, the connection and the air continuity stopped. Okay, you know something that
Go back to practice legato.
Yes. You know something.
By the way, there are many.
there
There are many questions in the chat, huh?
Yeah. No worries. Later we will talk about some of them. I was gonna say that something that makes me very angry, apart from bad legato, is, you know, we are listening to Martin Schippers. We are 52 people. Before we were 60 people, and there are only 18 likes. This is not possible. Like, people will be no, but feel free to click like, share this with your friends, subscribe also to Martin Schippers' Instagram and social media. The all of them are in the description. So through your life.
By the way, if people in the chat have more questions, feel free to post them. We are reading them and we will answer them one by one.
Yes, and I have many here. If you want, what we can do is like when you're in a car and you activate the second level, we can try to address the next topics a little bit faster, so then we have more time to answer questions. So
are you saying my answers are too long?
No. especially mine are too long because I'm not the protagonist today. So, talking about your experiences in the orchestra, among all your performances, if you had to choose one or maximum two, which would be the two special performances that you will always remember?
Oof. It's hard to choose two. Well, I think one was Mahler 2 in St. Petersburg with Marius Jansons. That was incredible. Mm-hmm. Like it was in our anniversary year where we did like a world tour. And of course, St. Petersburg, the hall there is very special. Like, Second World War, St. Petersburg was surrounded by the German military, and people were starving inside. And the orchestra still kept playing on in that particular hall. So I don't know, like when I play there, I have that image there. And of course, the recording of like Leningrad. I mean, St. Petersburg used to be Leningrad, right? Mm-hmm. So of course you have the images of Leningrad Philharmonic with Mravinsky and Shostakovich. I don't know, if you go to YouTube, you can see the rehearsals and concerts like. So Shostakovich, he was there writing all of the symphonies. So it's a special place, and it's Marius Jansons, our former chief conductor, unfortunately passed away not long ago. He lived there, his hometown, so for him it was also very special. And he is from Latvia, and there was a Latvian choir with us, and they sang, and it was very special. Like, it was an amazing concert. Jansons gave everything. He was like a bit sick and tired, and like he still gave everything, and the whole choir was crying after the concert. No, it was very special. Then another one was Mahler 9 with Haitink, definitely. And for the ones who don't know Bernard Haitink, he used to be chief with our orchestra for like decades, very long time. And he came to conduct for the last time with our orchestra, and there was Mahler 9th Symphony, and we played it in the amazing hall in Lucerne in the KKL, and that was just another incredible experience. Those are the concerts where you forget about time, and everybody is just making music. You don't even think about your instrument, So no, definitely those were two experiences.
And were those also your favorite composers that you have worked with, or apart from Haydn and
conductors, you mean?
Yes.
Oof. Well, I was lucky. I'm lucky to have been playing with many great conductors, but of course, definitely those are in my top 3. I would say top 5 probably. No, I think of course is amazing, very special. Jansons, incredible. Yeah, there are so many good ones. Valery Gergiev, Gustavo Dudamel, Andris Nelsons, Lorraine Mazel, so many great ones, very good ones.
For you, what's the most important thing of what do you like about a conductor? Because I know some people, they really like that they are clear, but some of them, some of the people, they don't care about that. They just respect the person that is behind those hands and what they say. What is the most important for you when it comes to liking a conductor?
Knowledge and music. I don't care how they show things, to be honest. Of course, you want them to be as clear as possible. But, like Gergiev, he can be conducting and you have no idea what he's doing. Like, literally no idea. But still the orchestra is together. So what's the meaning of conducting? But the thing is, the guy has so much music. He knows so much about everything he wants to do. Like he's kind of painting. So if you would say conducting is showing the time and the beat and the rhythm and the tempo, okay, that's one thing. But he's like painting the music, and it with our orchestra, I find it works amazingly. So yeah, I don't know. It's very hard to say, but in general, I like the ones that are 1,000% into the music. And what do you mean in terms of into the music? I think that come very close to what the composer originally had in mind when they actually wrote down the music.
Apart from the orchestra, you've played in many groups, starting from duos with Tomer Maczkowski, and then going to bigger ensembles such as the New Trombone Collective, the International Trombone Ensemble. You did tours through Japan and Asia. What do chamber music give you that orchestra doesn't give you? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
No, I do. Goals. Like whatever you play in a trombone ensemble or brass ensemble or whatever group it's always going to be much more challenging than playing in the orchestra in terms of physics and solo parts and everything, because let's be honest, the role of a trombone in an orchestra is hardly super heavy in terms of that you have to play a lot, or the work of an orchestra trombone is really playing together and being able to wait long and be still perfect after waiting for a long time, and listening, and like I said, it's mostly playing together. But of course, playing a program of 2 hours with a brass ensemble, that's something else. So I think it's extremely important to combine an orchestra job with chamber music and solo playing also. I think it keeps you fresh in all the ways, mentally, but also physically.
Do you have any upcoming secret project regarding chamber music that you can share with us, or maybe now because of the pandemic?
I mean, regarding chamber music, definitely we have been just recording quite some pieces with the brass ensemble, in which I was also involved organizing. And actually the 2nd of April we have a live stream with that repertoire. And I'm now editing a concert that I've recorded myself. That we recorded it in the main hall of the Concertgebouw. And soon we will be sharing short clips of these pieces. And other than that, I mean, I'm planning to do a trombone quartet broadcast with our section.
Quartet with who? With who you said?
With Jürgen, Nico, Bart, and myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the name of the group? SCHIPPERS Brothers? No.
Martin and the rest.
Martin and the rest. No, Martin is the best. That would be
Martin and the rest quartet.
Yes, of course. I would buy that CD. I would buy that. You're okay. Not everybody is like you, but you're actually doing many things. As you said, you were now playing something in the orchestra as a chamber music group, and you were organizing some. You organized all these projects, like all this song for health, and I also you also told me once that you were gonna create a platform, right? Something like that for teaching, I guess. Do you encourage people, especially students, to start diversifying their sources of, I don't want to say income, but at some point it's also that, like, because I feel like if you try to be just a single thing, probably nowadays it's gonna be complicated. You have to be diversified. Or what is your opinion, and or how do you apply that in your daily, in your day to day?
Yeah, I mean, it depends also where your interest lies, no? I mean, I have been always interested in technology and like audio, video since I was young. So for me, it was also just exploring and trying out things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I like organizing things also and making things happen.
Mm.
So it needs to be also a quality that you possess. And I don't say that people cannot learn it, of course.
Mm.
But yeah, the world is so diverse nowadays in terms of information and like broad. It's much more than before that. Yeah, you need to do more effort to put yourself out there, definitely. And yeah, for myself, I do it because I feel like I have to do it because I got into a certain position and I see it as my duty to inspire people, you know, through this kind of projects. Or like I also see it as a duty of mine, just like you with your composing, to enrich the repertoire of our instrument. And I mean, I cannot compose. The only thing I can do is play, but I can ask people to write new stuff, you know. And yeah, I just feel like I have to do it. And so that's how those projects came along. And it just starts with waking up, having an idea, and just doing it, you know. The worst thing that can happen is that it fails, and then you try again.
No, that's true. Yeah, like for instance, I remember the first time I used the OBS. This is a stream program that I'm using to transmit these chat lives. And I remember the first time it was horrible. The connection didn't work. I didn't know how to use it. And what I'm saying with this is that the first time you do something, whatever, you will probably do it at least not perfect. So that's the good thing about
Of course.
about doing your own projects. By the way,
Of course.
I was gonna talk about teaching. You know, the last question that is in the chat by Arki Yang Lee. He says it's related to this teaching world. Although later we will go to the previous questions, but he says, "Great to hear Martin speak. Very inspirational. What do you look for most with your student? Like, what are you? I don't know exactly what he means. What do you look for most with your students? I think he means what's the most important for you at the time you teach your students."
Well, Archie, thanks for your message. So also what is interesting in the chat, tell us from where you're actually watching.
Yes.
It's always nice to see. Yeah, what do I look for most? It's many things, of course, but one of the things where I'm really strict on is legato and sound. I think that's extremely important for a trombone player to have your legato fixed and also your sound, and then we can talk about the rest. And of course, the final goal is always to be the best musician, definitely. So I'm that's where I'm very focused on, and everybody has a different way also. So I'm trying to really individualize the teaching, not to have like one way for all, let's say. But no, sound, musicality, and definitely legato, it's extremely important.
You know, that's funny because I wrote down a couple of questions from Instagram that talked exactly about that. I'm gonna read the name of the users. It's D Johnson. He say, can you tell us briefly exercises to work on slide tongue accuracy? And there was also another question quite similar, which is, what do you do to help with coordination? And I guess this is directly related to legato, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, everything starts with a good imagination and concept. So you cannot start practicing if you haven't thought about how you want the end result to be. Because otherwise you're wasting time, then you're just playing. So what I'm also very focused on is for my students to listen to themselves, but also to form a really clear idea about how they want the end result to be before they even start practicing something. So what is super important with practicing is starting to think about what is my ideal, what is my goal for this, let's say a Bordogni, right? What is actually a good legato? How is actually, what does it mean to sound good, you know? And then you play, you listen to yourself, but the thing is, while playing, it's very difficult to hear everything that's going on. So you need to record yourself, 100%. Then you listen back to recording, you analyze what you hear, and you compare this with your ideal, and then you construct a way of practicing to get to your ideal from where you are at that moment. So sound concept, imagination of like the end goal, then playing, listening, preferably by recording, and practice and repeat. So this is the circle for me for practicing. But it's so important to not just start playing and then see where you end up. It's extremely important to know what is your end goal before you even start playing something, right? And for this, listening is so important to actually form that idea. Going back to legato, legato is in the end a perfect combination between your aerial slide and your tongue. That's it. And of course, a basic of playing is to have a right intonation here in your head and on your lips to have that equal. So with students that come and that have difficulties with playing in tune or playing legato, I always let them sing with the piano. And it doesn't even have to be a live piano nowadays. On your telephone or iPad or whatever, you can download a digital piano, you know. So starting with being 100% in tune in your head, and then with the mouthpiece to be 100% in tune, with your buzzing. So you put in the information in the trombone as clean as possible in terms of intonation. That will result in your trombone sounding the best way because you put in the right sound waves, you know. And then usually with the legato, I start with, then I still do it myself. I start with playing everything in the glissando to practice my continuous airstream. Then second step.
Just one freak question.
Sure.
When you work on glissando,
yeah.
Do you also focus on coordination when you work on glissando?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet. The thing is, I want to show you, but I have a shoulder injury, so I cannot play. But no. So glissando for me is a tool to practice your air. And that's why when I practice mouthpiece, I always play only in glissando because just to make sure you always use air, right? So the only thing I'm focused on is sound, singing, and as much as possible air. And when I speak about air, I speak about continuous air to always keep it going. Then the second step, then I start to put in the coordination. So I start to put in the timing of the movement of my slide, basically. So I compare it always to a valve instrument. You press the valve when you want the next note to sound. And you want to do the same with trombone. But what often happens is, of course, that we are too early, and then you hear boah, this. So you hear kind of the gliss. And this we don't want. Yes. And then the last step, I add a tonguing, but just very soft tonguing, like I think of do or di or da. On the slurs that are not natural. I think in legato we should always play with natural slur and make the ones that are not natural slurs basically sound like natural slurs. For me, that's the goal. And I always do it in this order. What is also very good is just to practice the legato slow. And I think everybody in their daily routine should have at least one scale a day practicing slow legato,
Mm.
maybe
And
with some variations.
Martin, so well, by the way, people is saying we are from Czech Republic, we are from San Diego, Sebastián Cifuentes from Doha. He's played with the Dakar Symphony Orchestra actually. Some
Qatar, Qatar.
Qatar, yeah, sorry.
Dakar is the rally.
Yeah, Dakar. It's kind of the same, you know. I'm from Spain, I don't know.
Czech Republic.
Florida, USA. So just keep writing for where you're from. Like, it's awesome that you.
San Diego, I would like to be there, in Florida too, actually. How's the weather there, guys? It must be nice beach weather.
No, I think so. Yep. Two little freak questions, you know, that
Sure.
come to my mind. Okay, well, I actually have many, but well, one of them is, do you ever use this? Okay, there's the glissando that you use first to control the air, and then you add the coordination.
Yeah.
When do you ever try this exercise? Because I know, like, for example, Bausfield or Alessi, they do it sometimes, which is kind of reflecting the movement, playing the contrary, playing very short, so you move in the right time. Like, try to move in the very last moment, like ta, ta, ta. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one to train yourself to not slide too early.
Mm.
Oh, I mean, definitely. I never do it myself, but I think it's a good one.
Yeah, and also I wanted to say that for you, how important, because when I see you playing, at least that is my impression, is that there's totally or almost totally a lack of tension.
Mm.
So how do you approach relaxation? Like, do you also think about what your face is doing, how your hand is tense? How do you face tension?
No, I mean, I'm happy you actually see that, because it's one of the goals always when I practice or play, to play as relaxed as possible, which is one of the hardest things to do. But yeah, I think any tension in your body that you don't need to play the instrument is going to interfere with the quality of the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter where, like if it's in your face or in your throat or your shoulders or wherever. All the tension that you don't need to play the instrument. Of course, there's going to be some tension because you need to hold the instrument, or because you're blowing out a lot of air, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think I consider every breathing I take a moment to relax.
Okay, a question from Jennifer from Lyon. She asks, wait, it's over here. When you breathe, do you breathe always in tempo? I
No.
guess maybe she means you breathe in one beat, two beats. It depends, or not necessarily.
I mean, there is a difference between breathing in tempo or breathing with a tempo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, do I breathe with a tempo? Yes, 100%. I always have a tempo in mind when I breathe, definitely, especially when starting a note. Do I breathe in tempo in terms of one beat? No, actually not. It depends. I think when I have a lot of time, I take a lot of time to breathe also. It reminds me actually of one concert we did. We played one act of Tristan in Isolde, and we played it also in Luzern, and the singers were standing behind us, and the bass singer, like a huge guy, he was just standing behind us, and he had a big area to sing, and honestly, like 30 seconds before he started to breathe, like and on and on and on and on and on, and then he started to sing, and it was like, "Wah!" Like the biggest voice ever. And it made me realize, like, wow, amazing. I asked him after, because we had a little drink with the orchestra and the soloists were also there, and I said, man, I was so impressed with that breathing. Why do you do it like this? He said, it allows me just to be totally relaxed when I start that area. So instead of like breathing quickly like this, he said, I just take a lot of time to make sure I'm relaxed, and then I can sing, like, just let my vocal cords do their work and without any like unnecessary tension. And I think it's the same for playing. So for example, if I would play the Rheingold, the excerpt, I would maybe breathe like first a little bit slow, and then maybe the beat before. No, yeah, like this definitely.
So when it comes to the breathing technique, because before you said that the most important thing is to have a concept in your mind about what you want to do. It can be talking about legato or anything. When it comes to breathing, do you follow a certain pattern? Like, for example, you say, if I play Reinhold, I would do that kind of breathing. You have any kind of boxes that you say, okay, this is gonna be a middle register, loud playing, I'm gonna breathe it like this, or I have here a very high and soft entrance, I'm gonna breathe it like that? Or how do you work on that? Do you have any protocol, you know?
I actually never give it so much thought, to be honest.
Yes. No, that's
if I feel stressed, it means I need to do something different. No, okay. Actually, Bousfield, he has one of those videos on a Vimeo platform. I think he's talking about this, and he actually shows it. He said, like, look, when I would play Bolero, I breathe like this. When I play Mahler 3, I would breathe like this. If I play Tuba Muram, I would breathe like this. And I think that's a very good example. It's just a feeling, you know. And again, everything is focused on being as relaxed as possible when you start playing.
Martin, what do you think about this? You know, at the end
what is important is the breathing out also.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, actually, I'm not gonna mention him, but you know, me included sometimes, you know, in the past, and many people have had problems sometimes with a little bit of hesitation and this thing, and something that really works out. And I know a guy who worked that with you, but I'm not gonna say his name.
Yeah.
Who and we were talking about that in a dinner, and he were telling me that about the breathing out. That sometimes you focus too much on the breathing in, and the breathe out. It's also as important. Well, it is actually even more important.
Yes, exactly. No, definitely. Like, we are all often focused on breathing, but it's mostly about breathing in. But breathing out is just as, if not more, important. And especially with legato, especially with articulation, especially with starting a note, definitely.
About starting a note. By the way, if you want, I ask you this last question. At the end of this podcast, I would like to check with you some of your biggest projects. You know, we can talk about them briefly, like this Song for Health,
sure.
Song for Japan. But if you want now, we can address.
I'm just a little bit. But the thing is, I didn't take the charger from my computer, so I have like 5%. So maybe I need to leave for like 30 seconds.
No problem.
So we can do one more question, then we can have some time for the people to put in the questions, and then I take my charger.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm just gone from one moment to the other.
Okay, let's do this, guys. This is for the people who is in the chat. I'm gonna ask one thing, then we're gonna go back only for a minute to this waiting video, or maybe I can even play a few things by Martin SCHIPPERS, and then when we go back, we're gonna address all the questions that you put in the chat and also in social media. Okay, so I was gonna, if you want, we can go now to the break. Okay, so you don't feel in a rush. And I'm gonna play for the people who is in the chat a few short passages of some of these big projects that Martin Schippers did, such as Devil's Vals, Angel's Tango, or even the Parachute interview. That one is the best. Okay, so we come in 1 minute. 1 minute break.
Yeah, 1 minute. Just allow me to get my charger.
Yes, 1 minute break. Okay, so I think now we are back. So let's try to address some of the questions here in the chat. I wanted to ask you before we left, because of the charger, about what would you advise to somebody who has, you know, some kind of hesitation when he articulates the beginning of the note. I know this is a very controversial topic, and it's not that easy because sometimes there are other problems involved. But how would you address that from a very simplistic way?
Of course, it's difficult without seeing the actual person, because there can be different reasons. But I had it myself for like quite a while, and it took me also quite a while to get rid of it. But it has to do with overthinking, of course, sometimes. And it also has to do with closing the throat, basically. So what my goal was to get rid of it was to go back to the natural playing. So it came in a period of thinking too much about my embouchure, about the movement of my tongue with a note or in a register. And the thing is, what in the end you want is to have a direct connection between what you hear before you play and what comes out of your instrument, right? But what happens in those moments, this connection, direct connection, gets disturbed with thoughts. So it gets like a disturbance in this connection, like literally. And yeah, I mean, without going too much into details, but going back to singing helps a lot. Because why would you be able to say ta, but not ta with your instrument, right? It's all here. And I mean, simply said, right? But so what I did is to try to go back to really sound imagination. How do I want it to start? Connecting with the ta, connecting with the da, connecting with the tu, with the ti, whatever works. And then always connected to a timing. So really retraining my body to a certain habit. And they say in average it takes 66 days to get rid of a habit, to replace a habit, on average. So it can be shorter but also longer. But of course then it requires 66 days of not repeating the old habit also.
Mm.
Because the more you repeat the old habit, the more you again train that one, you know. So it's a matter of only putting in good information, and that's very difficult. So it took me a long time, maybe 1.5 years. And also one thing that really helped me is some exercises by Bart van Lier, who is an incredible jazz trombonist from the Netherlands. He's 70 now, but he wrote some very good books. Trombone coordination, I think it's called. And he really talks about ha 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 ha, this kind of exercises, and really from your stomach area, like this. And I think this is also a great way to get rid of that problem, because what often happens, especially at the start of the note, is, you know, when you whistle, you do you basically do that with your throat. And what happens often is people start to breathe and they close this here, the same that you use when you're whistling. And when you think of ha, to have the activity really from let's say your diaphragm, you automatically open this. And like, I mean, without going too much in the details, but this kind of exercises really helped me. But what connects all of those methods is getting a way of thinking about your embouchure and your tongue. And connecting it to ha, da, or ta. Because, you know, when we are singing or talking, we don't think about any movement of our lips and tongue. And that's what we want exactly when we play trombone. 100%.
You know, Martin, I have to say thank you very much for accepting this invitation, because, you know, all these things that you are sharing, it's kind of a masterclass actually, and I think there's no money to pay this kind of things, so I think we all appreciate this. So I think because
can do donations after the
yes, you know, I'm trying to get this YouTube monetized. But I will tell you later, I have a little problem. Anyway, but the best way to support us now is subscribing, share it with your friends, because now we're going into the questions in the chat. And by the way, please follow Martin Schippers, his YouTube channel, especially on Instagram. He's very active lately. He's doing many awesome things, and I think he's nowadays the guy you need to follow. Okay, so people in the chat: hello from Brazil, Danilo Cruz, David Johnson. I think David is from San Diego. Martin Schippers,
Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, Martin Schippers comes home. Okay, I love this video, such a great blah blah blah. Yeah, he was talking about colors, the colors by Steven Berhels, because in the waiting video.
Yeah.
Colors. Okay. Arnau Morel, he has something that I think it was kind of answered. Why did you start playing trombone?
Why did I start playing trombone? I started to play trombone because good question actually. No, I was playing euphonium, and then my family said to me, "So, do you want to continue in music?" He said, yeah, so probably then you have to switch to trombone, because you have more chances of actually doing something with the music than staying on euphonium, because euphonium you can of course end up in the military band, but that's it, or being a soloist, but that's only a few people that can do that. So that's why I started trombone actually, and my uncle and my brother were trombonists, so it was a kind of natural to start.
Okay, we have an audio by Chuck Bond here. He sent me an audio.
Really?
I hope YouTube doesn't turn down my video because of this audio. I don't know what he's saying. Okay.
The AI is listening, you know.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Hello, Martin, my friend. Zach Bond here. Greetings from Hong Kong. Hope you're doing well. I have two questions for you. First question, when you went paragliding with our mutual friend Justin Clark, How did you decide who was in the back or the front? Was it paper, rock, scissors, or was it based on personal preference? I'm just wondering. My second question was, your Brahms one excerpt. Were you happy with the intonation? Just kidding, man. Hope all's well, and hope you're doing well putting up with Ricardo right now in this interview.
Exactly. I'm not sure if there is an answer, but
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Zach. Actually, we have been on many festivals together. We had always had a good time.
Zagbon, yeah, he's gonna be here soon, actually.
Ah, yeah.
In one of these chats.
In the chat. Okay, nice. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, should we continue? Or you wanna say something?
No, I mean to answer the questions. Obviously, the driver needs to be in the back, no,
Yes.
of the paragliding, and actually the playing while doing the paragliding was quite interesting. Like I didn't play that whole day, and I took a P-bone from a student, and the student put a mouthpiece, but it was a Baroque trombone mouthpiece that I've never played on, so it was flat, like super flat, and I think it was like -5 in the air, and the wind was super strong, and then I had to play some excerpts.
No, it's okay. Like, it's not that hard. Come on, Martin. Okay. Question by David Johnson. I related to not having the motivation to play sometimes during lockdown. How did you get out of that? How did you remotivate yourself to express your passion?
Just being focused on other stuff for a while, and I figured that with this pandemic, and anyway with this virus, and probably also other viruses, it's extremely important to work on your immune system and your health. So I think the worst thing for people to do is to sit home and do nothing and just eat and not move. No, really, it's bad. Like then when you get the COVID, your body is not ready to fight, you know. So I think it's extremely important to be mentally fit and also physically. So what I did in that time, I moved a lot. We were able to go out. I know in other countries it was not, which of course I don't agree with, but here also everything was closed. People stayed at home, but we could go out and move, you know. So people were running, people were speed biking and walking. So I did a lot of speed biking, a lot of walking. So I was focused on that to get back to feeling good, actually. And then, you know, feeling better mentally and physically. Then at one point I just really felt like starting to play again. So it's okay in this kind of periods, and let's hope this period doesn't come back. But it's okay to feel bad also. It's okay to not feel like playing sometimes. And of course, especially as a student, you don't have much time, but yeah, I think it's better to just in this kind of periods to focus on something else. And then I started playing again when I really felt like playing.
Carlos Patiño, saludos desde Colombia.
Gracias.
Regards from Colombia, siempre un placer escucharlo. By the way, I know Martin Schippers. I know he can speak Spanish a little bit. So later you can show us a few things.
No solo un poco, mucho. No hablo mucho español, pero saludos de Colombia. Espero que I hope to visit Colombia someday.
Yes. I was in Medellin and it's a great place.
Yeah.
By Cloud, he's saying, which equipment do you use to record yourself at home with trombone, audio and video?
I have different things actually. Actually, I was planning to record a lot this month, but then I got this injury with my shoulder, so I'm not able to record anything. Well, I have these microphones, which are mainly used for talking, but they're also great for playing. It's the Shure SM8B. They're very good. 7B, sorry, SM7B. Then I have a Neumann, which is, I don't know where I have it. It's also great, but I mean, in the end, it depends on the budget, you know. So
Yeah, there are a few new man which are cheap also, like quite cheap.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it really depends on the budget, but one mic that I'm really happy with, and it costs like $350, which is maybe already a lot. It's the Hype mic, the Apogee Hype mic, and you can connect it to USB-C. You can connect to normal USB. You can connect it to lighting, so to your iPhone or iPad. You can connect it to mini USB, so you can connect it to many different devices. And I find the sound for trombone really great. It's very nice. And the good thing is it's like a large membrane microphone, so it catches really a lot of frequency, especially with playing trombone. And for talking, it's also good. So yeah, this one's I'm using. Of course, it's mono. It's not stereo, but
Uh,
again, it depends the budget. And for audio editing, which one do you use, Ricardo? You're also good with it, no?
Audio. Yeah, I was gonna ask you something about post production.
Yeah.
So, mm, for many years I recorded myself, and I didn't like how it sounded, and I used Audacity for many times. Now I use Pro Tools. I use Pro Tools, but I wanted to ask you.
And how did you learn to become good with the editing with Pro Tools?
Editing, YouTube
Yeah.
YouTube videos,
Yeah.
and I just like to edit, and I've done a few projects editing others people parts, also wind bands and things like that, and I like it. And I was gonna ask you, when you record, do you play close to the mic and then you equalize, or you try to find a position so you don't have to equalize that much?
Honestly, I like in the time of the pandemic, I used my time a lot to experiment with these things, and unfortunately, I haven't actually recorded much in terms of brought out stuff. I have just been gaining a lot of knowledge about all of this kind of stuff, so I still need to find time in between the teaching and the playing to actually start recording a lot. But it depends the microphone in the room. And it also depends what you're recording. Like if you do multi-tracks, it's better to record like with this kind of microphone and then like close micing. But if you record a solo, it's better to have a little bit more room and to do it in stereo. It really depends the microphone, but in general, I would say like not straight into the mic, definitely not.
Yeah, what I would say is that learn how to edit your own recordings and also video. I think it's something worthy to do, because probably when you're a student or you're, I don't know, even a professional, or you want to do your own CD or promote your own music, I'm not sure there will be a sound engineering willing to do it for free. So when you don't have almost budget, and the same with, it helped me a lot to learn. Like I know you also know, like, to know Adobe Premiere and to know all these tools. I'm now learning Photoshop just to design the covers of my compositions. And of course, the first times that you do it, it will sound weird, or you will do it bad. But at the end, you start learning, and you try.
Well, of course, if you talk about the Adobe software, it costs money, right? It costs money. And also Final Cut Pro, that's the one I use mostly for video editing. It also costs money. Pro Tools also costs money. But you have, for example, Audacity is a very basic program, but it works for the things you want to do. Of course, you have GarageBand, which also works very good. But there is one software, it's called Reaper.
Yes.
And it's also very good, and it's actually made by people that used to work for Adobe. For Pro Tools, to make Pro Tools, and Pro Tools is from Avid. And they made their own software. It's called Reaper, and I think it's for free. And it's really a great program. So what I would suggest, look to your budget, and then see the options, and if possible, look. The good thing of nowadays is when you order something online, you always have 30 days to send it back.
True.
So you can order, try it out. If it's not good, you send it back. But in general, for trombone, I wouldn't choose they call them shotgun style mics. So it's the ones that like have a very directional way of recording things. I would always choose for the cardioid or like the large membrane microphones, definitely.
Yeah.
But we could talk a whole podcast about this.
Yes. No, I was gonna say that when it comes to recording yourself, for example, well, now I'm not recording much. I'm just practicing a little because I have to compose, and that's kind of the priority I have in the mornings. But when I record, I found out that this is so far the best way I found myself to record, which is, of course, I'm in a small room, and what I'm trying is just to record close to the mic, and then I just pass it through a little equalizer, just to get rid of because if you record very close, for sure you're gonna get some air or some tone. So I tried many possibilities with the wave in the equalizer until I found that one that just gets rid of that little noise, but at the same time it's kind of still bright, it doesn't get like, but it is hard.
Yeah, of course. I mean, again, it depends on the room. It depends on, but with like post-production, with equalizer and all of the stuff, you can do a lot.
Okay. Going back to the chat, Oli Bolirv, I admire very much the Van Leer brothers, Eric and Bart. They are astounding in jazz. Admiro mucho a los hermanos Van Leer en la música del jazz. I think you said something like that. For example, then Sigimantas Danauskis, he says, hey Martin, what can you recommend for practice mute? Thanks for your answer.
Practice mute. Try to play without. No, honestly, I don't like to practice much with practice mute. So I prefer to do it without. But of course, with traveling and stuff, sometimes you're in a situation you need to do a quick warming up or something. But like to practice whole days with the practice mute, I don't like it. I think it's much better without. But to do a little warming up or some exercises, like I think that's very good. I used to have the best brass mute, the small one, and I like it because it fits in the bell. But lately I have been practicing a lot with cup mute actually.
Cup mute.
And I don't have it here. It's from a special brand. No, I have it in my house, and it's very nice actually to practice softly. No. But to be honest, I'm not much into the world of practice mutes.
Okay, Martin, you just let me know how far should I go. Maybe we can speed it up a little bit. There are many questions also on Instagram. Maybe we can try to do like short answers. I'm gonna skip a few if you want also, but sure. There's many people asking. By the way, the guy who asked the last question, he's from Lithuania.
Nice.
Greetings
from Vilnius.
Yeah, Franklin Carmona, favorite piece to play trombone, favorite exercise and also favorite piece.
Well, on tenor I would say flexibility, and on bass and tenor I would say scales. No, it's extremely important. And favorite piece.
And right after he also says, what exercise book is your favorite as well?
Exercise book. Well, it's interesting. Like a friend of mine, not long ago, sent me a book written by Irby Green, and I never know he had a warming up book. It's called 1 hour a day, I think. And yeah, just some really really great simple exercises that I really like. So that's my new favorite book. But I can say one. I mean, of course, the Remington book is a classic. I have Michel Becquet books. I have yeah. I mean, you take things from different places and like basically you. I have some great exercises by Ilya Reingoud, another great composer and gestermonist from the Netherlands. Yeah, I don't know. So my routine now is really made up of different things that I kind of changed or maybe took over literally, or like I can't say like one exercise book. I don't know. Brad Edwards makes a lot of great books. Yeah, I think there are many, but I think it's the best is to really construct your own like daily routine to see what fits you and what you need. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Duncan Robertson. I have been struggling with jaw pain and tension, so advice with that would be appreciated. And
Because of the trombone playing, or because of like can be many things. Because you know what sometimes happen with people when they sleep is that they start biting their jaws, so it can really come from this. And actually I also do it, so I have this thing at night that I put in, so I cannot really bite my jaws. So that's something you have to fix with the orthodontist or with the dentist. And if it's from the playing, I would say like focus on the relaxation of your jaw. And you can even go to a physiotherapist that can teach you how to massage your jaw muscles.
Man, you know, I had a Russian colleague in at Juilliard, and he had, I mean, his teeth were a little bit not in the right position. So on my second year, when he came back in the fall semester, he had changed all his single teeth and changed them for a new one.
Wow.
Back in Russia, and I was like, man, yes, of course he had a perfect teeth, like, but he changed everything.
Could he still play?
Yes, he played, but he took. I remember it took a while. It took a while. I mean, that's super aggressive. You have to remove all your teeth and put some new ones.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I mean, you know, there's a story like, I don't know if you heard of David Steinmeier, amazing gestermon player from the Navy one of the Navy big bands, Airman of Note. No, not from the Navy, from the how can I say, from the flying division of the army. I don't know the name, but anyway, Airman of Note. He played there for many decades, and this guy has a register is just insane. So I asked him once, like, how? And he said, well, I was playing basketball, and I got the ball on my face, and I broke off a piece of one of my teeth in the middle. And he said, I was in panic. I ran to my practice room, and the first note that came out was the triple high B flat.
Really?
Yeah. And he said suddenly I had like 3 octaves extra, or 2, I don't know.
No, so
And then at one point he decided to repair it, and then he took the trombone, and the range was totally gone. So then he decided to remove it again. So no, I think teeth are very. Yeah. And then he had the range back.
No, of course.
So it's yeah, it's a kind of.
I hope it worked with every area in the life. Like I never could play piano. Okay, I'm gonna cut my finger. Oh, now I can play Chopin.
It's crazy.
Okay, which is your biggest inspiration apart outside the trombone world? This was asked by Arki Young Lee.
Biggest inspiration outside the trombone world. I mean, I cannot say one, but I like the mental preparation of some sporters definitely. Like, I mean, it's not my biggest inspiration, but
Casillas.
who? But no, I like years ago I saw some videos of Conor McGregor,
MMA.
the MMA fighter, and like I really like the mental preparation he did for fights. Like try to watch some documentaries of his on YouTube. I mean, he's an extreme guy, an extreme fighter, and maybe sometimes totally crazy, but the whole mental preparation, I mean, if you watch those documentaries, that inspired me a lot. It was great, and especially like the visualization. So they interview him and he speaks about the fight that is still going to come, but he knows his opponent so well that he's like visualizing the whole fight, and then later, combined with the interview, they show the fight, and it exactly goes how we visualized it. So I think that's also for performing. It's the visualization before of like an audition or a solo performance or whatever. I think that really works also. So I mean, different kind of things inspire me. Definitely.
No, that's true. That's true. I also like Conor McGregor. I know it's not the best moment for him. I think he's injured or something like that. I'm not sure. I think he broke his leg. So, Mr. Hornist, okay, a horn player. Let's see. No, I'm just kidding. Did Martin think about leaving music world or resting from playing trombone in some point of his life? Ooh.
Oh yes, definitely. 2 years after I got my first job. Yeah, no, it was a difficult period actually, because I got my first job when I was 19, and before I was always playing trombone for fun, and suddenly it was my job. But at the same time, I was still studying, and all of my friends who were studying too were going out and like enjoying the student life also. But I had to wake up every day at 6:30, travel with the train, go to the rehearsal until 3, then come back 1.5 hours in the train, practice at night, and like basically always be tired. And suddenly I had to play so much, and I was just not used to that. So I started to think about my embouchure, and then I started to read books of like Farkas and all of this kind of things, like what's the perfect embouchure. So I got way into the wrong direction in terms of focus on what is important for the playing. So I remember at one point I really thought like, okay, this is not for me, I'm gonna quit. And I took actually like, I reduced my contract with the orchestra to like 60% to have more time for myself to practice and to kind of come back. And that's also where I learned that focusing too much on how it feels is definitely not the way to go. And no, I mean I learned a lot there, but I was close to quitting, definitely.
Well, so everybody has like these difficult points.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, some out of struggle you can get very good things sometimes. And you can only learn from this kind of situations.
Sometimes the best way you can have to get money with a trombone is sell the trombone. That's
unless you got it.
Yes. So, hi Martin. This is kind of this. Well, no, Tiago. Who would be Martin Schippers if he was forced to quit his performance career? By law, you're forced to quit.
I think I would be a professional cocktail drinker at the beach somewhere.
What?
I would be a professional cocktail drinker at the beach in Ibiza, maybe.
And who would pay the salary? Like all the bars, so you try all the different cocktails and then.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I would be definitely into nerdy stuff like computers or probably video or like maybe programming or like doing interviews or this kind of stuff. Definitely.
Okay, I'm gonna go
production things.
I'm gonna go into the Instagram Instagram questions. There are a few. Some of them are very well. All of them are interesting. For example, okay, wait a second. I'm looking here for the. Oh, they disappear because it was more than 20.
I know, but
28 years.
you
20,
can see it
24
back.
hours.
You can see it.
So I
You can
lost
see
all
it
the
back
questions.
in your archive. You can
Yeah.
see it back in your
Yeah.
archive. Someone asked also here, Lars Ommert. Hello, Martin. Which device are you using to record yourself while practicing? Greetings from Düsseldorf. I mean, the simplest way is to record it with your phone, but of course, to have a better quality, you can attach a microphone to your telephone. And there are many out there nowadays. There are good ones from Rode, and there are good ones from Apogee. Like the ones that I have, like I said, it's the Hype mic. I think it's a great one, very good one. Then you of course have the devices that have everything in one. Like you have devices from Sony, from Panasonic, Zoom, of course. Like you have the Zoom recorders. So I think in every budget you can find something. If you want to do it really professional, of course you can get a small interface, and then with an external microphone connected with an XLR or something like this. So depending on the budget, you have different ways. But I think it's worth it to save some money and invest into a good microphone, definitely. Sorry, I was just filling the time while you were going to your archive.
No problem. So Emily, for example, is one of my all-time favorite trombone performances. Was your performance of Berhel's Colores with the CSU Swapped Ensemble? What was your preparation for that performance? I think this question can be applicable to.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what was my preparation? So with Columbus State, it was a lot of fun. It was very nice. So it was in the Let's Trombone Festival. I've played that piece already before, so my preparation for that particular performance, it was just trying to be in shape on trombone and practice the difficult passages a little bit, and a lot of mental practice, definitely. And also going through the tempos with the conductor, Brett, and just I think we did one rehearsal together with the ensemble, but the ensemble was so well prepared. That's a great class, by the way, and a great teacher. That it was very easy to play, to be honest. So I was just focused on making music, basically.
While you were playing, did you think in anything or?
No, I think that's one important thing to mention. Of course, when you're practicing, you're analyzing all the time. You know what can be better, what you do. I think when you're performing, you should switch off the analyzing button and just sing through your instrument.
Pavel is saying, what are the things that you would advise for your younger self?
It's a very good question, because of course you can advise a lot, but in the other way, I think like if I wouldn't have done the things I did, then I wouldn't be where I am now. So would I change something? I'm not sure if it would be good, but one thing that is for sure different between, let's say, now and when I was younger is the time that you actually have to practice. Like now, time is very limited to practice. So when you're young and you don't have like many obligations, use the time to practice, and not just to play, but to practice.
You know, there are a few troll questions. One of them is, how is to be so high? Is there oxygen? I guess they mean that you are very tall.
Tall. No, actually, you know, in the Netherlands, the whole country is below sea level. So in the end, I'm on the same level.
Oh, That's a nice thing. Okay, another kind of troll is, how is the feeling to be considered as an idol for some 10 teenager trombonist? And he says, I admire you. Salvador, that's his name.
Well, thank you. Yeah, idol or whatever. I mean, in the end, we're talking about trombone, right? But no, I see it as a. Like I said before, I think in the position where I am now, I'm able to inspire people, and I think that's a great position to be, and that's I like to actually be able to do that. So that's my motivation of doing the things I do, basically.
Also, one trombone girl from Portugal. Hello from Portugal. How do you control the anxiety on stage or for auditions?
Anxiety on stage. Well, that's a long story, but I basically have 3 pillars of preparing mentally. One is focus on the things you can control and basically influence. So only be busy with the things you actually have an influence on. Because when you come to an audition, you cannot change about how you feel at that day on your shape. You cannot change anything about being rushed because a train or a tram or there is a traffic jam and you're late. You cannot change anything about what the jury at that moment thinks. You cannot change anything about if it's too warm, or you cannot change anything about if it's too cold. You cannot change anything about if there's a pianist that is super bad, or like all of these kind of things. It's not in your circle of influence. So you need to kind of push that out of that circle and only focus on the circle of influence, where are the things that you can control, which is focusing on the music, focusing on the sound, focusing on the singing, focusing on your posture, focusing on your breathing. These are all the things that matter. That's number one. Focus on the things you can influence. Number two, you have to be positive thinking. So I believe very much in positive thinking while you are performing, especially, but also when you're practicing, because negative thoughts only put you down. If you tell yourself 10 times you cannot play a certain note, the chance is big that you will actually miss it. But if you tell yourself 10 times the opposite, even if you don't feel like it at the beginning, it also works. You can kind of trick your mind and your body. So that's one thing. So when you're playing an audition or a performance, whatever happens, you need to leave it behind you. Like, you have to look forward and be positive and not be influenced by something that you messed up, you know. That's number two. And number three is visualization. So in the days or even the minutes or the hours before a performance, I visualize the whole performance, including going on stage, including tuning, including breathing, including everything. Even like sometimes from my house until the concert location or from wherever I am. Like, I visualize the whole thing. And then when you're actually on the moment that you have to do it, you feel comfortable because you have been there already in your mind, you know.
You know, it's funny, the first step you said, the circle of influence. I can imagine Elon Musk asking himself, okay, what can I do within my circle of influence? Okay, I can control the Bitcoin market. You know, this is just a question.
Well, look, I was happy he did.
Okay, let's not talk about that, but yeah, me too. Okay,
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin also. Dogecoin. Yeah. You know, many people ask the same thing about how is your daily routine, and you know, I just try to put many questions together. So one of them is how do you do your daily routine? And another question that was repeated many times is, I play tenor trombone, but I have to play also bass trombone. How do you manage? I think you kind of answered that one, but can we first talk about how you create your daily routine?
I always follow the same pattern. It doesn't matter if I play tenor or bass. Obviously, for bass, I would do a little bit more flexibility in the low range. And on tenor, I would do more flexibility in general. But I always follow the same kind of... someone is doing hashtags Doge.
Doge. Yeah.
Doge to the moon!
Yes. Okay.
But...
we're not telling people to invest on Bitcoin, but...
We actually do. But...
Yes.
But what we were talking about, my daily routine.
Yes.
Yeah, I always follow the same...
finance market.
Yeah, exactly. So, the Bitcoin. No, but I always follow the same kind of pattern for my warming ups, actually. So, I mean, I can explain it, but...
Okay, so Martin, okay, sorry, we started to talk about Bitcoin and things got mad. Regarding technique, okay, you said concepts are very important, right? That you know exactly how things work. But then...
Well, not work, but how you want it to sound, basically.
Okay. Do you have any kind of hierarchy or pyramid of concepts? For example, relaxation, then breathing, and then articulation, or not really?
In my warming up?
Yes.
Oh yeah, sure. In the warming up, I always follow... I start with glissandos just to start the air. I do some stretching also. I do some mouthpiece just to start my lips, basically. Then I go into a range with like arpeggios, go high and low. Then slowly I start adding the tonguing also. So I do lip slurs combined with tonguing. I do flexibility from slow to fast in different parts of the range. So middle range, low range connecting, then middle range, high range, and then other range connecting. And then I start like a big part of my daily routine are scales. I do all the scales every day, every single one of them. And just normal and slow. I think slow practice is very important, especially with the daily routine. And then I do many variations also. So in triads or like, follow-up notes or chromatic. Some loud playing, some soft playing, some slow legato. I at least do one scale every day in slow legato just to check up for the legato. This is the kind of order.
Okay, we've been here almost 2 hours, so let's go back to the last part of this podcast.
Sure, let's do 3 more.
3 more hours?
Yes.
Okay.
No, hours, no, days.
Days. Okay.
Let's make it a marathon.
No,
3 more questions.
No.
By the way, from where is everybody watching? We asked before, but maybe there are different people now.
Yes. By the way, thank you very much for all of you for supporting this video with your likes, subscribing. Also, please follow
Doge to the moon.
Feel free to donate. That's of course something that will make us survive. I don't know if there is any account down there. No, I'm just kidding. Apart from your career and now I'm gonna try to talk seriously about this. Like this pandemic has been extremely painful for freelancers. You're kind of an example for many people about diversifying your sources of income to the extreme. Like you are in orchestra, you're teaching, you're doing many projects. So what would you recommend students when they thinking long term? Should they already be thinking in that probably they're gonna have to diversify their activity? I don't know. What do you tell people when they feel unmotivated or things like that?
Yeah, I mean, to feel unmotivated, like you have to realize that everybody now is in the same situation. And you have to believe that this will be also over at one point. And then, of course, it depends on the ones who actually use the time to get better, to take the opportunities, because it's not going to stay like this forever. So when things hopefully get back to the old normal, or at least as close as possible, opportunities will come, jobs will come, opportunities will come, and you have to be the one that is totally ready and that used this months on all of this time to actually practice and really get better. That's number one. I think if you talk about trombone playing, definitely. So that's what I also tell to my students, like, of course it's a difficult time, but be the one that's ready after everything comes to an end, that is ready to take the opportunities, because of course there's going to be also people that didn't use the time, you know. I think this all alone already can give some kind of motivation. So yeah, it's a difficult time, but it also gives everybody the time to actually practice a lot and to gain a lot of knowledge without being distracted by all kind of things that we normally have, you know. So I'm lucky, very lucky, and I consider myself very privileged to be in the position where I am. But if you're not, use this time to be ready as soon as opportunities start coming again, because opportunities start coming. I mean, people are saving money more than ever before during this pandemic. So when things start opening up again, people are going to spend a lot of money also.
That's why people is investing in Bitcoin.
Yeah. No, but really, like, so be the one that's ready to take the opportunities. And in terms of diversifying, I think that's always good. It's always good to have a plan B. Definitely. But of course, it all starts with quality, because you can throw up a whole thing, but people in the end want to hear quality of things, you know. And yeah, and I also use the time to do things. Like I said, in the whole pandemic, I learned how to do audio recording. I learned how to do video editing, to do video recording, to do interview setting. And again, I don't have much as a result yet, but I gained a lot of knowledge that I will for sure use in the near future. I started developing mouthpieces with Bob Reeves in Los Angeles, which my bass drum mouthpiece is ready, and my tenor mouthpieces also will come out. I'm working on new etude books also with Steven Verhelst. We will make 24 etudes for tenor. We will make 24 etudes for bass. I mean, we are in the process of doing this. Then also,
but by the way, do you of course are you friend with Steven? I guess you guys are.
Yeah, very good friends.
Are friends, definitely. And I'm curious how is he? Like, he's I mean, I would like to meet him actually. Like, he's also a big inspiration. The same kind of the same.
He's like you know, like great trombone players. And then, I mean, you still play more than he does. He I think he composes more. I think he never plays much anymore. You do still both. But it's a bit similar, and it's funny you actually never met him. But
many trombone players do the same. Like, for example, nowadays there is the most famous. Well, let's say the composer in Spain that nowadays has more projection, like in terms of future. His name is Francisco Coel, and he's also he was also a trombone player. He studied but then he gave up. And he started composing, and now his music is being playing in New York Philharmonic, like Seattle. He composes very like modern language, but very cool also. And like he's been his pieces are premiered everywhere. But also the same with Johan de Meij and all these.
That's true.
Like trombone players who thought, okay, I cannot play better. Like I'm talking about myself. Like I'm like, okay, you know, it's too difficult to compete. I'm gonna compose.
I think it's great, and I mean, it's nice that there are so many nice new pieces coming out from you guys. I think it's great. And it's good for everybody. And the relationship I have with Steven, I mean, I know him, I studied with him together, I know him for so long, I played with him also. So whenever we are working on something, we always take the time for it, and he's very open for like feedback and like stuff like this. And another, I just mentioned him before, Ilya Reingoud. He wrote a few pieces for me that I still have to record, and that will come out also. He's a great Gestermon player, but amazing composer also. He won a Thelonious Monk Award in the United States for his compositions. Like, that's a big thing. So we have a project going on, and he's writing as we speak. Like, I thought the connection between classical players and Gestermon players is so important, but it doesn't happen enough. So we are writing a duet book together. That's, I think it's gonna be very nice. So it will be for tenor and bass duets, and we will also record them. We will do it with the rhythm section, and like everything will be available like on Spotify, so people can actually play a duet only with the rhythm section, but also have him play the first voice and then play bass trombone, or the other way around. So it's
and do you guys, when you do these kind of projects, because I would like you, this is the last thing I'm gonna ask you to talk about, which, because make one viral video is complicated, but make 5 of them it's even more complicated. And in all of them, Steven was also involved, like Song for Japan, David's Balls, Song for Health, also the Angels, Tango. So it's, do you follow always the same procedure? Like you know what I mean? The same
actually
path?
no. I mean, it's a matter of luck also. In the right time, in the right place. But for example, Song for Health, I was very clear in that idea. Like, we need a catchy melody that everybody hates after 1 month. But that's a good thing of a catchy melody. And my goal was Instagram. And so I thought from the beginning we shouldn't have a melody or a song that's longer than 45 seconds. Because cannot, like an Instagram post cannot be longer than a minute, right? And so that you still have time also left to show actually an image of the project itself, so people know what it is a part about. So that's why the goal was 45 seconds. And since everybody would be at home, it would be great to have a piano accompaniment also. So then people can play solo and everything. And then so I spent 2 days. I made the website. I registered the domain name. I made the website.
Using Wix, or what did you use?
No, 2 days.
But how did you create the website? Using Wix or using?
Oh, sorry. No, I did it with. I forgot the name.
WordPress.
WordPress, yeah. I did it with WordPress. And then I downloaded a theme, and then I made a database and like all of this. I did computer programming before, so so I made the website and I made the design of the logo and stuff like this. We did everything in 2 days, and I think he and me, we went over like 20 versions of the piece, and every time no, and then again no. Should it end in minor or major? No, and here no, and then at one point, okay, this is it. So we were in touch all the time, like, okay, this is good. And then basically the new thing was, in comparison to Song for Japan, is that now there was Instagram and hashtags, no? So you have to play a little bit with the algorithm of the platforms also. So what you want is that it appears in everybody's timeline, right? And well, with the hashtag, especially on Instagram, and on Instagram you don't want to post as an IGTV because this doesn't go viral. In that time there was no reel yet, or I mean a reel can be like 15 or 30 seconds, but a normal post can be up to 1 minute. So that's why we made the song 45 seconds. And we made sure it was 45 seconds with everyone because we included the piano score, which has its tempo, of course. I mean, the piano, the piano audio. So, and then we encouraged people to record their own versions. And then it was just a perfect timing because people were sitting at home and they felt like doing something creative. And I see many of those actions which often have to do with showing off, you know, playing something super fast, playing something super high, playing something super low. And that's nice until a certain extent, because I think being creative and like showing off in terms of a musical way, because it's very melodic, I think that's there to stay. It's much longer. And people were, of course, they felt like they were a part of a good thing, which in the end the action was about also. So people felt like participating. And no, it's crazy how it went. Like a couple of days ago, because the 1 year anniversary is coming close. Unfortunately, 1 year, but in the other way, it's a year ago that this project was launched. I think there are like almost 8,000 or if not more versions on Instagram, YouTube and Facebook together. I mean, it's just crazy. So my idea was I'm going to download all of those 8,000 versions and make one mosaic of everybody playing it.
Wow.
But
you're gonna need a quantic, how do you say, quantic computer.
Yeah, it's just not possible. Like, I don't want to smoke my like already with combining 10 videos is impossible. So if someone is out there that can actually do that, please, because I would love to be able to do this. But
I think I remember the melody was something like
yeah. Bravo.
But I don't know what else.
But do you actually realize that it's the beginning of Angel's Tango?
Yes, but that was after, right?
No, Angel's Tango was much before. Already a year before.
You know, plagiarism yourself is not a crime. Like
no, I said this is such a catchy melody. Let's continue on the first two bars.
Yes. No, but that's a nice one. And when you do these things, I guess in most of them there is no probably financial support. It's just a project, right? And it is for free. People can download it. But at the same time, I'm sure that's also kind of a great promotion platform, like both for the people who collaborate and also for the music.
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, for the music and you know, the underlying hashtag was music doesn't stop. So that was also one of the goals. Like, okay, people are sitting at home, but we don't have to stop being creative and spread music. So that was one of my goals, besides showing appreciation for healthcare workers at that time, which like it was one of the first big actions that actually did it. Then many followed until people were also tired of that. But so it was basically the goal was two ways. Like, first of all, to show that even we sit at home, we shouldn't be stopping being creative, and then second of all, show with this action appreciation for healthcare workers. Of course, I could have monetized it probably much better. Like, it only costed me money basically, but like, of course, you could have made t-shirts and stickers and sell things and stuff like this, but that was not my first motivation. But with the song for Japan, this is something we did, but it was also easier because it's about one country instead of the whole world. So with the song for Japan, we raised a lot of money for the Red Cross in Japan.
Really?
Which of course, if you concentrate on one country, it's much easier, because where are you going to raise money for the whole world? You know, it's like, it's impossible.
No,
So
you
it
can
was
do it
just
just for Spain. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, we already give enough money to Spain.
I am myself a country. Okay. You know, Dan Grutzer says the artwork over your left shoulder looks interesting. Could you tell us about it? There is not any art in here. Ah, you mean Martin's house. Okay.
But you know, the funny thing is, like, I think. Wait, let me see here. Because the thing is, what is my left shoulder? Because my video is kind of mirrored in your. Like, wait, look.
I think he's talking about the trombone.
Is it this shoulder? Or this one?
I don't know.
No, I mean, the ones I have behind me, the real trombone nerds should know what are these vinyl records. So it's a question for the chat. What do I have behind me? Like the real trombone nerds should really know what it is about.
You know, we can go deep into philosophical questions like, what is actually behind you? There's something. Are you really there? If you think he's there, please like this video and share it with your friends. And
but honestly, like, these are some of the most famous trombone recordings there. From the time you still had vinyl recordings, right? Like the big black recordings. I mean, I can show you one here.
By the way, people also asked in a few questions if you listen to jazz.
Of course, all the time.
21 trombones. Obi Green. Perfect.
So this is a collector's item because it's still in the plastic. It was never opened.
Are you gonna open at some point, or?
No. I can sell it to the highest bidder. No, like, I mean, this is like from 1967 and it was never opened. It's nice, huh? So this is 21 trombones with Herbie Green.
Do you think it would work if you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the ones that I have there in the frames, they're exactly the same, and they work. Yeah, for sure.
This is kind of like these food military boxes that I don't know if you have watched those videos that you go
of course
on YouTube and they open, and some of the things are maybe not
still edible.
Yeah, still eatable. Okay, it's getting
so they're all records, all vinyl records of Herbie Green. So you have 21 trombones, you have 21 trombones volume 2, you have the Herbie Green sextet. Like you have different ones. And someone asked, do you listen to jazz? I grew up listening to jazz trombone players, and I can only recommend it to any classical trombone player to listen to jazz trombone players. And then you talk about Bill Waters, you talk about Herbie Green, you talk about Carl Fontana, you talk about I mean, you can go on and on and on and on. If you talk about good legato and sound, listen to this kind of players. Bart van Leer, Dick Nash.
Dick Nash. I remember.
I mean, so many.
I had dinner with him, with Dick Nash, when he was 90. He was 91 or 92 years old in the ITF in New York, and I remember he went on stage in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
But he still played, and he did some extreme high notes, I think.
Yeah. No, like this old players, and especially Herbie Green, for me, like jazz trombone players very early on already were playing, singing. They were playing with an amazing sound, amazing range, and above all, incredible legato. Of course, J.J. Johnson. I mean, the recordings J and K, like, the duets. I mean, you can go on and on. Even like Tommy Dorsey, if you go back even further in time. I mean, this kind of phrasing and playing. No, I grew up listening to a lot of jazz players, and actually I met Herbie Green also. I went to his house for a documentary. It was incredible. One of my favorite sounds and ways of playing the trombone, definitely. So this is my kind of tribute.
No, true. Okay, Martin, I don't want I don't want you to charge me for this chat live, so I'm gonna just say my last two questions.
Sure.
So one of them is okay. I don't know why I'm gonna do one of them, but anyway, the first one is which are your upcoming dreams? And I don't want this answer kind of like, I want to live day by day and then we'll see. No, like if you could say, okay, I want to have, I don't know, maybe going to the moon or
With
I don't know,
Dodge.
whatever, like become, I don't know, a conductor or whatever. Just, do you have any dream professionally?
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to use all the knowledge I gained in the last year for the recording to really put stuff out there in terms of recordings. That's really what I want to do. And I have some pieces that are written for me, but I just need to record them and put them out. So that's definitely one project. I also want to bring out more material. And like I said, the mouthpieces. I'm also busy with the new trombone, by the way. Then also I want to work together with people to have new material, like etudes and like pieces to play. So that's definitely something I want to do. And I love the teaching. I want my class to be the best one of Europe in the coming years. But of course that takes time. It takes time to build up. To teach, yeah.
No, no, to get lessons.
No, come on. You should come and teach a masterclass.
No.
But yeah, I mean this kind of goals, and I'm looking forward to be able to travel again and meet many players and musicians around the world. And it would be really, really great at one point because I mean, Jürgen is doing, of course, a lot, and you also wrote some pieces for solo tenor trombone and orchestra.
Have you ever thought about a piece for, all the trombones, all the different trombones, like a concerto that includes alto, tenor, bass? That could be the first movement, bass, second tenor, and then.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, I thought about it, and Charlie Vernon, he did it, like Lindbergh wrote him a piece. Check a bone, check out, it's called. But yeah, I don't know. I can do that, of course, but it's hard to not do something that is like a kind of show-off piece, you know.
Yes, I know.
And I'm not a big fan of those kind of pieces, but no, it could certainly be interesting. But I think what would be really great in the coming 5 to 8 years is to have a piece for bass trombone and symphony orchestra performed with my orchestra. But I mean, that will be probably impossible to happen because I don't know if they want to program it. But I think that would be one of my dreams, let's say.
So I hope you
Definitely
fulfill all those dreams. I wanted to ask you something else. I'm not sure. Okay, you don't need to answer it. I was gonna say, do you feel nowadays, because of the pandemic and these things, do you think that somehow freedom is compromised? I know this is a very generic question that can be addressed in many ways, but do you think somehow we are less, of course now because of the pandemic we are less free, but do you think somehow freedom is compromised? That would be my last question.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. It is compromised, of course. And I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned, and I hope we all learned, is how important freedom is. And not only freedom of movement, but also of expression and freedom of keeping things private, you know. And I think that's something that I'm very curious to see how this will evolve in the coming time. But I'm also very surprised how easily people give up their freedoms by anxiety. And I'm not minimizing the whole pandemic or the severity of the disease. It's not about this. Of course, it's very serious. But yeah, to me, it's kind of shocking to see how easily people give up freedoms as a group together, purely based on anxiety. And I find it at one side very interesting, and in the other side also something to think about.
I know.
That I mean, it's of course a double-edged sword, as they say. At one side it's necessary to defeat this whole thing, and the other side it's also like you don't want to go too far in that. But I certainly enjoyed the moment last year when we had a lot of freedoms back, and I think everybody noticed that also. But I hope people also remember that for the future. So no, I think freedom in all the ways, also about your body, about your mental, about your thinking, about your speaking, about your traveling, about your playing. I think it's very important, definitely, 100%. But maybe we should start another political show if you want to go.
No, it's like live your life and don't live others' life. No, but it's Martin Schippers, the political. No. we were here about music.
I could also fill a few hours about that.
Yes, I know. Okay, anyway, but as you said, positive thinking. I think that must be the rule in all areas of life, not also playing. And I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for staying with us for almost 2 hours and a half. I think is somewhere over there. I would really encourage people in the chat to say thank you to Martin for all the knowledge that he has shared with us. I think this is unique and it's gonna stay forever here on YouTube. So I think that's something very valuable. I hope, as you said at the end, like let's try to be free in all areas, and with the freedom we will also be able to play music and feel the concerts again. So
yes, exactly, definitely. No, thanks to you, Ricardo, for
you're welcome.
doing so much effort and making us look good. I see on the screen also here. And bravo for everything you do, man, with the playing, with the composing, with the editing, with everything.
Little by little. Anyway, man, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for everybody tuning in live and everybody who tunes in the future, of course.
Okay, follow Martin Schippers